Hey there, welcome to another episode of Watch Soup, a special Friday edition. We're going to do Fridays for the next couple of weeks until after the Super Bowl, and then we'll be back to Sunday. Next week, we got the Lions playing this weekend on Sunday, right, Clayton? They're going to win. I feel it, and I'm not jinxing it. I'm just saying that they're going to win, and then we're going to see them Super Bowl Sunday. I think this is the year for Michigan. I mean, like you had the Wolverines winning the
Yeah,
national championship, right? Why not just keep it going with the Lions, man?
Pistons have won like 4 games, so yeah, this is
Yeah,
a really
yeah. Hey, I mean, do you follow hockey? How are the Red Wings doing? I
they're
don't even.
decent. They went like a crazy amount of years making the playoffs in a row, like
Right.
20 something, and then
Yeah.
they've had a few down years, but I think they're back. I'm not
They're,
like
mhm,
I pay attention to hockey around the playoffs, but
sure.
I find the, like, standings and divisions a bit
Oh, it's
confusing as
crazy.
a
Yeah.
casual watcher, so
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
odd. It used to be a lot more straightforward, I feel like.
Well, I think they went through a phase where they were experimenting just to increase popularity of the sport. And
Yeah.
so then, they messed with the All-Star game, right? So it was like Canadians versus the world, or NHL versus North American versus the world,
Right, right.
that kind of stuff. And I think the NBA kind of is doing something similar to that now. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a sign of the time. I mean, like, whatever. They were just trying to make it more popular, and other divisions are what they are. Conferences, they're called conferences. They're like 4 conferences. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't get it at all.
I don't get it, man. I'm with you. I follow the Flyers when it's playoff time, and that's all that I
You
do.
know, a team I always rooted for was actually, New Jersey Devils, from playing NHL '94. For some reason, I just loved, like, Brodeur and, Scott Stevens. Like, I don't know, I never really rooted for the Red Wings all that much. I love the New Jersey Devils for
Yeah,
whatever reason.
for the longest time, I was a Redwood fan because of NHL, 93 or 94
Yeah.
with Sergei Fedorov and
Oh,
Stevie
yeah.
Yzerman.
Yzerman,
Yzerman, yeah, yeah, um,
Probert.
yeah, 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 yeah. So that's it. For years, I was a big Red Wings fan, and I would follow them religiously, and then I got fell off of hockey, and then I got into Flyers because my best friend's a Flyers fan, and my wife's a Flyers fan, and so like I kind of just like there was a huge,
Oh,
huge.
we also knew someone, Randy McKay. We met
Oh,
him. He
cool.
went to college in my hometown, at Michigan
Yeah.
Technological University. So, yeah, he played there. So we had met him. So that was another reason kinda rooted for the,
Mm,
uh,
The first
Devils.
the first hockey team I ever got into. So the reason why I go through different hockey is because like I'm never consistent with the sport. So like I'll fall off for a couple years and it's fine. But when I was a kid, when the Islanders, they played Islanders hockey on local TV here in the New York City area,
Right.
right? So like we didn't have cable, but Channel 9 WOR would have Islanders on. And so like and that's when they won like 4 Stanley Cups in a row in the
Right.
early years, right? So like that was extremely popular. So I was a huge Islander fan when I was young, and then I stopped watching hockey, and then I got back into it playing drinking Sega, drinking hockey with the Red Wings because they were like the best team on there. But
Yeah.
anyway,
It was awesome, during that time. I
yeah.
remember, they had that, rivalry with the Avalanche.
Oh
I
yeah.
think Patrick Waugh
Patrick Roy
was
was the
the yeah,
goalie. Yeah, he came
yeah,
from
that's good.
Montreal over
Good
to
stuff.
yeah, yeah. And but then like, then you had um a couple few years later just after that, you had the Rangers and the Devils, and you had Claude Lemieux and
Yeah,
Messier going up at, Claude Lemieux was like the bad guy,
right.
so
I never
anyway,
disliked the Wings, but for some reason I rooted for the Devils.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right, so let's move past this because I'm sure the chat's getting
right.
bored with this talk. Hey, what do you have on wrist tonight?
Doing the chicken again. I don't know
Oh
if I can get it
yeah,
to,
very
I don't know
nice.
if I can get it to
Yeah, yeah.
focus. Yep,
Such a
yep,
great watch, man.
yep,
I'm
still
I'm so
wearing
glad
this.
you have
It's,
it.
yeah, it's so comfortable, and,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's like
trying to get
nothing, right?
the solar charge up to full. It's still on medium.
Yeah, yeah. I got the Zen 144 on this
Nice.
evening. Hey, let's say hello to the chat real quick, and then we'll jump right into the soup. Hey, Rick on watches. Rick is here. How you doing, Rick? Maison is here. What's going on? Felicitations to you too as well. Keith is here. Caliber, hello, Caliber. Hello, Bruno. Good to see you. Wolfgang, go Lions, go.
Yes. Oh man. Woo.
Uh,
Remember, Detroit Spartan pays that debt.
yeah,
I absolved myself.
yeah. MD Chaz is here. How you doing, MD Chaz? Yeah, Keith is. I like to see the Lions. Yeah. Hey, Kevin S is here. Hey, now. Good to be here tonight. Good
America's
to have you.
team.
Yeah.
America's team.
Yeah. Let's see here. Underachieving watch collector is here. Greetings to you. Mr. Big Wrist is here. Good to see you, sir. And Mez9 is here. All right. Hey, let's get into the soup. And you're going to kick it off tonight
All right.
with the Urban Gentry. Why we hate Tag, Heuer, and Richard Mille. Watch talk for the Sapient Enthusiasts. Go ahead.
All right, so this is a long video,
Yeah.
so I thought I'll do very brief as I can, and then maybe
Hmm.
we can talk about, and maybe with the chat too, brands that I don't know we don't hate necessarily, but maybe that don't quite resonate with us. And I don't know if we've done TGV on here before. We don't do them all that often, so I thought it was
Yeah.
a fun
Yeah, because
chance
they're
to.
so long, his videos now, too, right?
Yeah,
So,
they're long.
mm,
This one was long. I didn't feel like I had to take a ton of notes or
yeah.
anything, but it was
Yeah.
more conversational. But yeah, so they start with a joke there. What do you call a dinosaur wearing a Richard Mille? An eyesore. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So,
so it's like I don't know. I think they do these once a month. Mark
yeah.
from Long Island Watch and TGV in TGV's place. And this week it was established watch brands that they don't like. And
Mhm,
after wristwatch checks and some chit chat back and forth, Mark chose Tag. Just not offering anything today that really excites him.
mhm,
They have a rich history, of
mhm,
course. He appreciates the Monaco, but everything else he feels like is lacking in design. Almost reminds him of Fossil in a way, which I thought was a bit harsh, but he just doesn't connect with the design elements whatsoever. Um, his hate goes back to the 80s when Tag came into the picture,
mm,
creating Tag Heuer.
mhm,
He even back then he saw their quartz watches and they were, up near $1,000 even back in the 80s, early 90s, and he just thought that was crazy high. But he does like their stuff from the 60s, Octavias and that kind of thing. TGV kind of thinks the opposite. They pull a little too much from their heritage instead of new designs. He compared them with Tudor. They took the Tudor Submariner, which was, they used Rolex parts and everything. And out of that came the Black Bay, which,
mm,
it's not necessarily original, but it's their own thing, right? So
mhm,
he wishes Tag could do something like that, maybe out of their heritage models, create something new that, we can kind of associate with Tag. They talked about lack of innovation. There was that belt-driven Monaco, but that was 20 years ago already.
mhm,
They've done all these great things. They have all this tech, but they're not really, in Mark and TGV's opinion, applying it to current model watches. I happen to disagree. I think Tag had a great 2023, in
I
my
agree
opinion.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I definitely think it was their best year in a while. Then they talked about the Super Mario smartwatch, kind of jumped the shark with that a little bit. Swiss smartwatches in general, like
Mm,
Tissot does them and Mont Blanc, and I don't know if you're gonna get something Garmin or Apple all the way. Mark has no desire to own Tag. There's just no love affair. He has no, he just doesn't love them. TGV likes the Carrera, but there's a lot of competition in that price range.
mhm,
You'd like a Carrera, but then he thinks of all the other things you could buy at that price, and that's kinda where I've always fallen. I've never owned a Tag. That's kind of where I've always fallen to. There's just always something else in that, Carrera's what e even that glass box, like, I love it, but it's,
yeah.
even after a discount, what are we talking, 5 grand? So it's like, there's so much else out there at that price that
Mm,
would that be my first choice? And then TGV went with Richard Mille.
mhm,
He has a new appreciation for the brand after doing research. He probably came in prepared to hate on them, and he actually found that the more he learned, the more he liked them.
yeah.
Um, two guys formed the brand. It's a blueprint of how to. It's a marketing brand that he really respects the marketing, even though he's probably not attracted to the watches. Two guys, Richard Mille and then Dominique Genot, I think
Mhm,
it was. They are shock resistant,
mhm,
accurate, carbon, light. So essentially, G-Shocks for the, super rich, right?
Yeah.
They've done some really cool horological things, gem set ceramic, laminated sapphire crystal, detachable rotors, variable geometry rotor. I don't even know what those things are necessarily, super thin. I think maybe they have the thinnest watch now too. Um, so yeah, the more research he did, he discovered there's a big difference between the horological innovation and the marketing. Like he likes the horological innovation part, but the hype flex culture he
Yeah.
detests. So P Diddy, they talked about that. He likened it to Timex. He just didn't like them very much, and then he put in some had to
I know.
make sure the random of being accused of assault stuff.
Yeah, which it was very odd to put that in there.
Yeah, and I thought that was like, "Oh, okay." That was obvious yet odd. TGV dislikes the flexing culture around them. They're super expensive. He doesn't like the look. He respects the innovation. Mark loves them from an engineering perspective. Of course, he's an aerospace engineer. I think
Mhm.
so. Yeah, he obviously is attracted to them for that. They're so new. 2001. Like I forget that
Yeah.
sometimes. Crazy how they and they're recognizable. 23 years on, and when you see one, you know one, and if you see something that looks like it, it's probably a brand ripping it off, doing an homage. So it's pretty cool for a young brand like that to not only cost as much as they do and people pay it and over,
Mm.
but also just for them to be instantly recognizable. Low volume, they don't make many watches. They said they couldn't find any sales figures from since 2018, but they ranked 6th last year according to the Morgan Stanley report. They were
Mm.
in 6th place. So,
Yeah.
yeah, crazy low amount of volume, but they charge a lot. So,
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
the money. So, I think we'll end it there. That's good
Yeah.
enough. Any thoughts on the video and maybe what's a brand that you well, we know how about I challenge you on the spot. You can't say Oris.
Well, I wasn't gonna say Oris. I
Okay.
wasn't gonna say Oris because that would just be too easy. But
Yeah.
easy. But going back to the video, you know, in regards to Tag Heuer and Mark brought them up. Look, I think you know as as enthusiasts are or collectors are, I think Tag has been down. I don't think it's been down, at least reputationally, to most of the John Q publics who don't really follow
Right.
watches as much as yeah. I mean, Tag is still for a lot of people. People that I know, like a watch, a brand that is like, you've made it. You know what I mean? That and Rolex still, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, but for the enthusiasts, maybe. And so, like, I think what they're doing here, Tag is, and they're dipping back into the vintage well. I mean, and I think they've been releasing some good stuff. Everything's pricey, but when prices come down, you can negotiate or whatever, maybe secondary market. I mean, these are some great looking pieces. The whole Carrera rebirth, I mean, or reinvigoration of classic Carreras. Monaco always been a favorite of mine, and the new things that they're doing that with that. I think this is the recipe of a brand who's trying to get back into their feet, reputational wise, with enthusiasts and collectors. Right, you start off by dipping back into the well, re-releasing and doing reissues, getting some interest going, and then let's see. I'm going to give Tag a leash here, a long leash here. Let's see what they do in the next couple of years, innovation wise, with the design anyway, or maybe we get something new from them more consistently in the future. So I'm not going to be as hard on them as Mark was. Rishamil, I mean, yeah, I mean the flex part of it is really a huge turn off. I think I have a slightly more appreciation now of based on Tristano's
Yeah.
revelations
I
about
learned a
about the
lot about in this
technology.
video. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the design's still not for me as well. I agree with him. It's just not for me. And that kind of price point, yes, I would rather buy a house. You know what I mean? you know, so that I would never be in the market anyway at that price point, even if I had a lot of money. I think. Um, but it's the flex part. The flex part is really bothersome to me. Now, going back to a brand that I'm kind of down on. Okay, like I said, moving past Oris, I had to really think about this one, and I think about a brand that's been around for a while that really doesn't do anything that excites me, and that's Hamilton. Hamilton doesn't do really anything now that excites. Speaking of a brand that goes back and dips right from the vintage, I mean, like they do that as well. And they have some classic pieces, some must-haves as a watch collector, quote unquote, like the khaki field mechanical for one. It's just like I mean, like it's just I feel like they're like Longines. I feel like they're kind of like right there with Longines in a sense, where I get the same kind of vibe from what they're putting out there. But for some reason, Longines does it a little bit better, right? So like Hamilton is not even in the thought process for me, like for something down the road. Like I would consider Longines. Before I would consider Hamilton. So I'm a little bit down on Hamilton. I don't hate them, but I'm a little bit down on Hamilton. Anyway, what about you?
Yeah, so, it's funny, how things change it, just like, TGV's experience with, RM, sort
Hmm.
of like, when I in the '90s in high school, I guess I associated Tag, like, the logo almost was the same color scheme as, like, the Tommy Hilfiger logo. I just always just had a negative. I knew nothing about watches, but anytime I saw the Tag logo, I just had a negative opinion, had a
Yeah,
negative connotation on it, and, I've come to learn a lot about tag, and I definitely wanna own one.
yeah.
I think that glass box, is
Mm,
something I'll definitely consider. Even the Solar Graph, tried it on a couple weeks ago, and, the sales guy was wearing one too, the, Aqua Racer, and,
hmm.
it's so light, it's crazy
Yeah,
light, and he said he works on his cars with that watch, and it's held up really well. I love solar quartz anyway, so, Tag's just, one of those brands that I used to when I first got into this hobby, I had a really different opinion about them than
yeah,
I do now, so,
yeah,
learning about stuff. Yeah, again, I don't dislike this brand, but they don't really move my needle, and I know they have all this innovation. Rolex use their movements, obviously. Zenith,
mm,
there's just not.
mm,
I've even seen the Chronomaster Sport in, person. My friend has one, beautiful watch. I don't know, they're just it would take a lot for me to buy one. I'm not,
mm.
attracted to them enough to buy. I know the movements are amazing, the watches are amazing, neat, the chronographs are really cool, but it leaves me cold. It's like one of those
Yeah,
brands that just I see them and I'm like, "Eh."
yeah,
I see an article come up or I see, a new release and I won't even, like, read about it. It's just like one of those brands that, man, it just doesn't get me going
yeah,
whatsoever. I don't know why that is.
yeah. No, no, I hear that. I like Zenith, but they definitely could use some help. And I don't know what the answer for them is. I mean, like, like they've done some. I mean, the Defy line, the new Defy, the last couple of years. I mean, that's kind of like innovative in a sense, stylistically.
Yeah,
It's much different. I mean, I think it's just like everything has an El Primero in it right now, right? And
yeah,
maybe that's it. Maybe
that
it's
might
El
be it.
Primero fatigue. You know, they have other lines. They have other lines, but they just don't, get as much. I mean, that elite line. I mean, like they have, some interesting pieces in a huge catalog. Maybe they also have a big catalog too. So,
Right.
yeah, I think what we're experiencing as in the community is, or in any way, the friends that we have, is maybe just fatigue of the brand. Um, let's see what some of the people have to say on the chat. Mark doesn't find any of those tag models worthy of stealing. Oh, okay. The only designs I'm drawing inspiration from. Um, Wolfie saying tag is cooler than ever at the moment, in his opinion. Incoming, perhaps, maybe soonish.
Yeah.
Simply the tag is not the caliber of those. I don't watch. Okay. Kevin says, I think Tag Heuer is getting better these days. Carrera Glassblock offerings are pretty nice. I agree.
They're so nice. That
Yeah, they
reverse
are.
panda is just oh,
Mm,
I saw it. It's so
y-
good.
yep. I also really like the Super Diver they did a few years ago. Cool titanium deep diver. Hey, Ken is here from Pittsburgh. What's going on? Tag is LVMH. I think we'll see a lot of interesting things to come, says MD Chaz. Um, Wolfgang saying, not that much better out there at 5K than the Black Box for small wristed, I think. Okay,
Right?
interesting. And Keith is saying, I'm guessing Bobby's Pegasaurus. I knew it. I know it. I had to change it up.
Well, I would
Tags.
typically say Omega in this, but that's just they're doing interesting things.
mm,
It's just nothing that but still, they're doing really
yeah.
amazing, movement style stuff. So, and I do have I do like some Omega models, but Zenith is like a brand that I was just never. I respect what they're doing. Obviously, some people,
Yeah.
major collectors, like have them and love them. I know Sanjay loves his and has, and the Chronomaster Sport's really cool. I don't know. They just leave me cold. I can't really explain it.
Rick is saying there are a bunch of brands I'd likely never buy, but I don't hate them. Okay, fair enough. I mean, like I don't hate Hamilton. You know what
Right.
I mean? I just, mm, I'm not really too
That's a
thrilled.
good one. I kind of feel the same way.
The Big Diver is awesome too, Kevin. A bit much orange though, especially orange strap. Kevin, using the Oris line that I use, Bobby Legs, I respect Tag, but uh, Tag is a gateway brand. That's very Rick. I mean, for a lot of people, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I totally agree.
I mean, last year they outsold, they ranked higher in sales volume than Tudor. You'd never know that
Yep,
by paying attention to Watch Media, but
yep,
they
yeah,
sell more than Tudor.
yep. And Thomas and I are roughly the same age, and back in the 80s and especially the 90s. I guess I don't know if I was paying attention in the 80s. I was too young. But in the 90s, they were just everywhere marketing wise, right?
Yes.
And so them and Rolex, I mean, I thought those were just the only two luxury brands out there at that time.
Yeah.
I'm buying Fossil watches at the mall, like, thinking one day maybe I can afford a tag. Um, let's see here. Let's scrolling. Tom says, "I love Zenith. I need them to bring out a really decent dive watch." That's always been the complaint, right? With the
Yeah.
Zenith as well. It's like, we need something. We need
I
a
think that's
diver.
probably it. Like, they don't need to make a diver, but there's just nothing. I'm not like a big chronograph guy, or I'm just not into their designs.
hmm Consider bringing up ball. Yeah, I mean that Ken. That's an interesting one. I just feel like ball just doesn't make that much of a waves anyway, right? And so, like, it's just almost like, they're I can't even consider them because they're just not that they don't have
Right.
that presence, and especially
Yeah.
anyway, in the group of people that collectors that we're friends with, like, I don't know, there's not too many people who have them, so they're not. It's a kind of like out of sight, out of mind with ball. But I mean, there are some cool ball watches. I don't know. Maybe I do like ball. Um, Chaz, first you buy a tag. If you love history, you go with Zenith next. Or if you beat you kids, you buy a Hublot. If you beat your kids, okay. I mean, Mitch has his base covered. Okay, MD Chaz really going after MDNH tonight. Um, can't believe
You
Sanjay
Peter.
has kept the Zenith as long as he has. Very good point, Caliber. He's held on to that. Well, he's a new man, right? Uh,
Yes.
right, Clayton. Um,
New
and,
leaf.
and Kevin throwing in Bremont seems like another brand folks love to hate. I think they're nice watches, especially pre-owned. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, going on to the next one, and that is Watchfinder, the watches every enthusiast must own. And in this video, Andrew pulls a poll out there. I guess whoever is following them, and watches that enthusiast has to own. He divides it up to 5 different brackets, and him and his friend Thomas they talk about that. And so we'll go through the brackets, and then I figure maybe we'll throw in our vote. And
Yes.
see like who we think, right? So the first category, the first bracket is under 1,000. Now, the poll says that Andrew took. Most people picked Seiko 5, and it didn't get really specific. Just maybe the whole line is Seiko 5. Whatever. I mean, Seiko 5s now they have, something for everybody. And I think what we're talking here are watches that are current today, right? So like,
Yes.
so you're not going to say a Seiko SKX, right? Because they no longer make those, right? I think I'm froze. Did I freeze up? And
You're glitching out here and there, but
Yeah,
you're
I'm
good.
glitching out.
You're good.
Okay. So So what do I mean? Like, okay, that's fair enough. I'm of the opinion though, under 1,000, like not just Seiko 5, any Seiko would do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's that was the point that Thomas was making, and I totally agree. Any diver, there's so many divers, especially you can go with a samurai, you can go with a sumo, you can go with a
King
turtle.
Turtle, I wrote
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
You get the sapphire, it does
hmm
have the Cyclops if you like that, but boy, at the sales you can find the King Turtle and even the King Samurai at, like, that's a no-brainer for if you want just a solid Seiko diver. Those are really good.
yeah, yeah. You can't go wrong under 1,000. I mean, like you know, you can always go down the rabbit hole of micro brands here, but I don't think that's the point here with this one. This is,
Yeah.
just some of your main brands here, and I think you can't go wrong with any Seiko under 1,000. Really, I'm sure there's some Hamiltons out there. Speaking of Hamiltons, that you can go with, but Seiko, I think
Citizen,
hands down, yeah.
that
Seiko
new
Citizen,
automatic GMT they came out with, if you
yeah,
play your cards right, you can probably get that around 1,000. That's a really cool release.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next category, 1 to 3. K. And I don't know if I missed it. I don't know if they talked about the poll result here, but Thomas says the Tag Heuer Formula One, and I think maybe that's what the top consensus of the poll was.
Yeah,
It
that's
kind of
what I
like
wrote down. Yeah, it was yeah, they
I
nailed
wasn't
it.
too aware. I couldn't make
Right.
it. I couldn't figure out what it was, but let's just say that that's the poll. Tag Heuer Formula One, which is an interesting pick. I mean, that there is a whole lot of selection in that 1 to 3, right? You can go Longines, you can go a lot of places. I went because I'm a big German watch guy. I went with Zinn U50. For me, at that price point, it's going to be at the high twos. You're going to get all the tech that you can get with Zen, right? You get the tegmented bezel. Um, uh, you know, um, I think you could probably even sneak in the tegmented case as well, as long as it's on rubber.
Yeah.
500 meters water resistance. Uh, Regulated movement, right? Just a great looking piece, solid, indestructible. And I'm a little bit biased, right, with the Zen at that price point. What do you think between 1 and 3K?
Yeah,
What is
Zen's really good. I wrote if I could spend between 1 and 3K right now, I would check out a brand I've always wanted to own but never have, Doxa.
Oh
I
yeah, good
really
pick.
like the Clive Cussler.
Yeah,
I like that one or just, I really love the Carbon, but that's closer to
right.
4K, and I don't know what kinda discounts you can get on those, but yeah,
hmm
I mean, even the Doxa Army, like, they did the one
Yeah.
with the, like, I think the bronze bezel, like, is really
Oh yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good
Yeah,
looking
so
piece.
that's probably if I could spend that right now, that's probably where I'd look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good pick. I didn't even think of Doxa. They always slip under the radar, I feel.
Yeah, I always forget about them. I wanna own one and then, I just forget about them.
Yep. Um, okay, 3 to 5K range, and the Tudor Black Bay 58 was the choice at that range. Hard for me to argue against. I've owned a couple. It is a great watch, but I have to say now, if we're talking like full MSRP here, we're not talking about any discounts. This watch actually, because I think you could get it under 3K, depending on the variant. Man, I like that Zulu Spirit, Longines Spirit Zulu timer.
Yeah.
I think that watch looks great. You get that GMT-ish functionality there. Just everybody who people that have known that own it love it. Joey B is on the chat. I don't know if he's on the chat tonight. He loves his. And man, I don't think you can go too wrong. I mean, again, a lot of choices between 3 and 5K, but a brand with great heritage with Longines, great looking piece. What say you,
They make
Clayton?
a 39 of that now, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the one because I tried the 42 and I did not
Mm,
enjoy the way it wore. I just thought it
mm,
was a little big, but yeah, 39, that's good. I
yeah.
like that new one they just came out with
Oh,
the sort of the pointer power reserve. I
yeah, yeah,
forget
yeah,
what it's called right now. That's nice too.
yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down the Pelagos, and no matter what,
Oh, good point.
yeah, no matter, obviously I love the FXD, but even we went to the AD a couple weeks ago and they had all of them in they had they didn't have FXD, but they had the LHD, the blue and the black. Even if you can get those, if you have the wrist for it, those are just great tool watches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I think you're edging me out here. I think I like your picks better than mine.
No,
Um,
I like the U50. That's a good one.
5 to 10, next category, and the resounding choice was the Rolex Oyster Perpetual. I think that they were on the right track with Rolex Submariner. No date.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, you can go Seamaster here, right? You can. There's so many options as well, but the watch is an all timer. The Submariner. Let's be honest, whether you like it or not, it's in the top 5 watches of all time. It's on the Mount Rushmore, whether you like it or not. It is. And between 5 and 10K, I mean, that to me is the no brainer. What say you, Clayton?
Yeah, I mean, I got the feeling I'm talking to somebody this is enthusiast, or is this somebody who's, like, looking to I think they said enthusiast, but is it
Enthusiast,
somebody
yeah.
Yeah, if I'm just recommending a watch, it's like, take your pick,
Mm,
Explorer,
mm.
OP, Air King, if you
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah, I mean, if you're spending this kind of money and, it's essential watches, I think that's a good place to get into Rolex. You can probably get them from an authorized dealer, a decent amount of wait time.
mhm,
So, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer pick there.
yeah. Uh, the 10K and plus the last category, and the pick was the Patek Nautilus. This one is really really tough for me at this particular moment in time. I don't even know what I would even say. Now, if we're talking about an enthusiast, like a must own watch, right? I mean, obviously, 10K or above is there's a whole lot. That's a whole big world right there. And if I gotta narrow it down to like the all timers, right? And so, I'm thinking Paddock, I'm thinking, Vacheron, I'm thinking AP. That's what I mean. I'm not thinking like something, independent here. I'm thinking of all timers, right?
Yep.
And and for me, forget about like whether it's available or not. There's a line. I mean, they say the Patek Nautilus, and that's like, you can't just walk into a store and get that one, right? Um, I mean, I would have to say, at this particular moment in time, I'm saying um, Royal Oak for AP, just because it's a Holy Trinity brand with AP, and it's the watch in the
Right.
brand, right? I mean, you can make an argument for Vacheron, like any particular model. I mean, you can go overseas, you can go something more dressy. Same with Paddock. You can go Calatrava, right? I mean, you go Nautilus, complications, anything there, right? There's so
Yeah.
many models fighting for that epic top spot, but for AP, it's the Royal Oak, right? And so that's where, if I had over 10K, that would, to me, in this argument, would be the must own. How about, what say you, Clayton?
Yeah, so, I mean, I consolidated once for a watch, over that, and I chose a Moser. That's not
Mm,
exactly, the one I chose especially is not for most people. So if I were to I looked at it, if I were to do that again and include the Moser in a consolidation, I think you mentioned it, Vacheron Overseas Blue Dial.
mm,
I think it's awesome. I love the
yeah.
bracelet. I mean, gosh, if I had, unlimited budget over 10K, it's 222 if I could find one.
Mm, mm,
But no, the overseas. I just and I think the prices have come down on those too.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's probably a decent time to buy them if you can. So yeah, that would probably be if I could consolidate my entire collection into one watch. I think it'd be the Blue Dial Overseas.
Yeah. But, well, that's a great looking watch too.
Yeah.
Thomas says he hates these kind of videos. Andrew Morgan is bound to pick a Speedmaster. I hate that people think collectors have to tick certain boxes to manage. Yeah,
I'm surprised they
I hear.
didn't.
Yeah, yeah, right, right. Well, I think he just went because of the poll, right? I mean,
Right.
that's what he used to, like, kind of like show some legitimacy to the argument. Yeah, Thomas, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I went some Mariner route just because, like, I had in the spirit of this of the question of the video. I'm trying to think, like, if you're an enthusiast, right? Doesn't mean you have to have, like, my pick, which was a Submariner, but in general terms, I'm thinking, like, just casting a wider net. as an enthusiast. I think most people would see that as a pick there. I could be wrong. Kevin S. King Turtle is tough to beat at $500 if you want a diver. Agreed.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that was a great pick by you, Clayton. Did somebody say King Turtle? Hey, Neat Dog's here. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Jay Thor is also here. Hans, good to see you, Hans. Kevin S. The Zin U50 is a great choice at that price point. Great tech and doesn't look like any other diver out there.
Yeah. That's
Um,
that wins over the Doxa, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Thomas says a Dornbluth from Yoma Shop or Watch Buys. Can't remember. About 5K. Wow,
Wow.
that's pretty good. Um, Caliber liking the U50 and the Pelagos call. Hey, Wayben's here. How you doing? Um, Kevin, I take a nice Grand Seiko spring drive for about 6K. I mean, that's not bad. That's not a bad choice.
Yep.
You know.
I
Um,
just went right to Rolex, but he's right. There are so
yeah.
many other great options at
Oh
when you
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's why I mean, like, I like how Andrew, you know, um, positioned this video is like he made a poll, right? I mean, this is what
Yeah.
people want. So like, but yeah, no, Grand Seiko,
I
a
mean,
good choice.
Speedmaster's in there. Gosh, there's so
Yeah,
many killer a lot of the legendary icons that enthusiasts like are in that range.
yeah, Brigade Classique,
Yeah.
very good pick for that 10 and above. Grand Seiko for Wayman as well. Paddock. See, I mean, that's the thing with the Paddock, right? I mean, like, there's so
Yeah.
many choices there. That's why I went with. That's why I'll reiterate. That's why I went with the Royal Oak um for AP because it's the watch. I mean, like, and that I mean, anyway, that's a different discussion about AP and what they should be doing. But it's the only thing that seems to really work for them. Um, Kevin says I'd go with the Islander Calabro GMT as a treat.
The Dark and Stormy, is that what that watch is, the Calabro? The
Is
Dark
that
and
right?
Stormy? That is kind
Is
of a cool dial, I guess.
Yeah. Um, okay. Hey, let's move on to our final video from a good friend of the channels, Dirk Werning, reducing friction in your daily life. Maybe a Dirkscussion. Go ahead there, Clayton.
Yeah, obviously he's a good friend to both of us, so I thought, hey, why not? I saw this. I think this came out on Tuesday. I really
Mm,
liked it, and of course, I just kind of forgot about it. And when deciding on a third video, I was like, oh yeah, that resonated with me. Let's talk
yeah,
about Dirk's video. So
yeah.
yeah, it's all about reducing friction and simplifying life. He was inspired by another channel, Maurice Moves, sort of like an EDC world traveler, which I subscribe to. So it seems like a cool channel. I had never heard of it before until he talked about it in this video. We all have lots of drama in our lives, work, kids. He had a grandkid now. He's a
Hmm.
grandpa, Dirk. So
Yeah.
congrats on that, Dirk. Um, we all have issues, and sometimes we can only control what we can control, how we react to things, right? It only bothers us if we let it bother us,
Mhm.
right? So I felt like this was a kind of a McMahon video, but a much more like grounded,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
less manic,
Yeah.
Jeff
Yeah. Yeah.
McMahon, like Jeff McMahon on muscle relaxers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so one source of stress for Dirk, if you're friends with Dirk like we are and in groups with him or see his Instagram, he carries a lot of thought goes into what he carries, right? So it was stressful for him picking out a watch, a flashlight, socks. He's a big sock guy, has different matching socks. If he goes out for pizza, he wears pizza socks. If he goes golfing, I don't know if he golfs, but he wears golf socks. So a lot of this coordination goes into his everyday life, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, knife, pen, all that, all of his EDC carry. That was stressful for him. So now he's down to basically two watches. The Omega Ceramic Planet Ocean, he wears that a lot, and the Rolex Air King. That's all he wants to wear. He has other watches, but those are his main two watches that he wears.
Mm,
And then he just bought this. He talked about actually wore the Omega for 101 days.
yeah.
Same amount of days I wore the Pelagos actually, which I thought was kind of funny. Yeah, he really bonded with it through that, and that remains one of the two watches he wears all the time. He just bought that amazing King Battle knife. Like, I don't know much about knives, but holy smokes, that thing is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Um, He hasn't carried another knife since he got it. It's also, an expensive knife, but also it's beautiful, and that's what he wants to carry. So he carries it. He's not thinking about it too much and just enjoying it. It made life very simple, right? He just when he goes to pick things out in the morning, he knows the watch he wants to wear, he knows the knife he wants to carry, and just go on about your day. Like there's a beauty in that sort of simplicity. He the Rolex was his grandkid watch. It was when the grandkid was born, so he's going to wear that to see the grandkid. And he's going to wear the PO for everything else. Will he become a two knife guy? He's more of a knife guy than a watch guy. And he still has other watches. That remains to be seen. Talked about like we have a honeymoon phase. We all kind of do with I did with with every watch I get, right? We
Mm,
wear it for a few weeks, but he thinks the battle can go beyond the honeymoon phase. He just thinks that's his new knife that he carries. He kind of thinks maybe he has too many knives. Sometimes when he looks at it, they're in different drawers, they're on his counter, they're everywhere. It's just not the money aspect of it that's sitting there doing nothing, but it's also he feels like maybe the knives could be better served being owned by somebody else who's actually using them instead of just sitting in a drawer all the time. And I've thought that about my watches. I think you have, and
mhm,
some of us do as well. And then he just doesn't know why is he hoarding all these things? Like, what is the
mhm,
reason that he's collecting all these things? Is it keeping up with the Joneses on Instagram? Is that why? Because we post things. He said, do we post things because it's neener, neener, neener? I have this, you don't. Ha ha ha. Is that why we post things? Is that why he posts things? Or does he just like to do it? And then somebody commented on one of his videos, like, boy, it must be nice to be able to have the money to afford all of these knives. And that kind of got him thinking too. And he said he's
yeah,
going to do another video about that. But, reducing friction in our lives where we
mhm,
can is really important. And yeah, I mean that's basically it. Does a manageable collection help you get dressed in the morning? Do you like you have a pretty small watch collection? Does that help you when you're getting your kids ready for school? Getting ready yourself for work. Like, does that help you just to like know what watch you're going to pick the day before? Does that kind of stuff stress you out? Does that help reduce friction in your life?
well, I mean, so no, I don't think about when I'm gonna wear the next day, typically. And I wake up, and I usually when I wake up, I go straight downstairs and I start like making the kids lunch and getting. Then I have to go wake them up, make them dinner, get them dressed, and then go out the door. I don't even wear a watch until I come back home, right? Then I go upstairs and put on a watch, and
What?
it's yeah, I know, right? But look, this was a really good video. Um,
Yeah.
and it's a very interesting topic that I've actually been thinking about lately. So, um, not that this is watch related at all. I've somehow stumbled upon this one guy who has a YouTube channel. This guy Brian Johnson. Actually, I think he started Venmo, right, and then he sold it off a few years ago.
Mm.
Made a ton of money, and so he's and this is not like an advertise. This is not. I'm not saying to go follow this guy because I'm not. I don't really follow. But I just went through down a rabbit hole. He's trying to turn back the clock on aging with his body, right? So he's doing a lot of things. And one of the things, and this regards into the friction, reducing friction in life. Right, he takes like 60 to 100 supplement pills a day.
Wow.
It's crazy, right?
Jeez.
And he has a couple things that he has to do in the morning. So what he does is to reduce the choices and the friction in the morning about doing things in a certain way. He comes downstairs to his and this is the takeaway I got from him. It's not all about the other stuff. He goes downstairs and on his kitchen counter, he has everything laid out, right? And so he has it. He already put thought about it, thought into it a year or two ago of what it's going to look like. And then so like everything, so now he follows this pattern every morning. He just goes, he puts on something to cover his eyes and listen to some pulses, and then he like takes the pills and drink the water. Like and it's robotic. He doesn't even think about all that stuff, right?
Mm,
He doesn't have to worry about the choices, and he reduces that kind of friction in his life, and that reduces stress in his life, right? It's already planned out for him. He doesn't have to worry about it, right? So, and I think he like pretty much almost wears like the same kind of like clothes and clothing, so he doesn't have to like pick different shirts. Do you know what I mean? Or different pants, right? So that's got me thinking of like, are there things in my life that are causing friction in a sense that I'm spending too much time or mental energy thinking about these things, and they're not that important. You know what I mean? Or
yep.
you know what I mean? Or they are important, but maybe there's a different way to make that approach. So when he's talking about his two watches, he's got more watches.
Right.
He only has two watches, and he likes, and Dirk. Speaking of Dirk, and Dirk seems to be working for him right now, right? It's either one or the other, right? And it doesn't require that much thought for him, and he's got that simplicity. Now, I think with the knife thing, it may turn out to be a little bit more difficult because that's his thing. His
Yeah.
thing is knives, right? You know what I mean? And he's got a channel dedicated to that, so that's going to be hard, right? But I like the idea of this, right? And trying to figure out how to implement that. Like, when people physically train, they do like a lot of meal prep. They'll cook everything on Sunday night, so they don't have to worry about that stuff. They have everything
Right.
handled, right? So like, I would like to take that meal prep idea and apply that to a lot of things in my life,
Yeah.
and see how that works out. Um, yeah, good video. What were your thoughts, Clayton? What do you think?
Yeah, it resonated with me because I kind of went through it with the FXD. Like, I was always like coming up with these crazy rotations, like, feeling guilty about making sure I get all my watches in. So coming up with these crazy rotations. And I got the FXD and that's all I wanted to wear. So it was nice to not and also like reduce the friction of constantly like figuring out how I can buy the next watch and what I can sell and everything. So it was just and I'm gonna buy watches again, but even for that brief period, it was like it was a reset that I needed to just kinda calm things down and just, like, reach for the same watch for, like, 100 days straight, like, that there was a yeah, it was just a sense of relief in that and just, like, a
Mhm.
step back and, maybe make me think about the watches I buy, like because they have to compete with that watch now, so that was all really nice. It made the I've n actually been enjoying the hobby more than maybe I ever have because it's just kinda stress-free now. Like,
Yeah.
I watched poor Jeff, and like, man, just I wish he could enjoy. I hope he finds a watch that he just doesn't want to take off because I think he kind of needs that. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's capable of it, but I want that for him because it is nice to
Yeah.
yeah just kind of find. And Dirk is into a bunch of things. He carries a different pen every day, different knife every day, different watch every day. So yeah, to find balance when you have that much going on is really nice. And yeah, like you said, meal prep. A lot of people on diets will eat the same thing every day. I listened
Yep.
to an interview with
Yep.
Lars Ulrich, and he just said he basically to be in a metal band when you're 60, you pretty much have to really take care of yourself and eat the same
Mhm.
things just to maintain
Mhm.
just to so he eats the same meals every day because that's what works for him and makes him able to go out on stage every night. So yeah, I think finding that balance and no matter what it is, just making one thing in your life a little less stressful can really help.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wolfgang says, "I'll take your Moser, Clayton. Too stressful owning one. No worries. That's what friends
I
do."
flirted with selling it, but well, if I
Moser,
lose,
fire sale.
if you bet on the Lions and lose, we may have to talk, I guess.
Moser fire sale coming. Reducing friction one watch at a
Right.
time. Um, Einstein did the same, I assume, with reducing friction. Um, Sounds like a routine of Christian Bale in American Psycho. Expect to see baby legs with Slayer hoodie 24. Kevin, I mean, like you joke.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
but that one of the a positive. during quarantine was that I didn't have to worry about dressing up for work, right? Sweatpants and a hoodie. Like and look, I've been in the sweatpants and a hoodie for like the last 5 years now, right? It feels. So like that's one thing in my life that I really don't have to worry about, you know. So it kind of has relieved some stress. Um, let's see here. No, I think I caught up with the comments over here. Kevin S., you like Huey Lewis in the news? Hmm. I mean, I did. I mean,
Sports was the first
oh,
record I ever got, I remember, when
great,
I was a little kid.
great album, great album. One of the, top 100 albums of all time, probably, right?
Yeah.
My first album when I was a kid, I got this like it was just so it was like one of these compilation albums for like a cause. So like it was like to beat leukemia, but it had like all the number one hits from like 1982 on it.
Oh, yeah.
And so like it had like Every Breath You Take, it had Heat of the Moment, and I mean it had like like a bunch of these great songs like yeah what's that, the Australian band, oh man,
Crowded House or something.
no, they sing Down Under.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of it right
Oh, why
now.
can't I think of that right now?
Oh,
Anyway,
jeez. Vegemite
um,
sandwich.
yeah, but you might say, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I just,
yeah,
oh,
cheese. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
Come on, Chad, help us out. But it had all that. But then like
Colin Hay is the lead singer, I know that, I just can't think of the band. God darn it.
come on, there's somebody from where's Scott Twello? Isn't he from Australia?
Men at
Men at
Work,
Work.
thank you
There you
so
go.
much,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thomas.
Gosh.
That was brutal. I should have known that. But my first proper album, I think it was Stay Hungry by Twisted Sister.
Oh, cool.
I
Now
think
we're
it was
talking record, vinyl, right?
record,
That was your
record,
first,
record.
yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like LP. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's your first, cassette tape? I remember mine was a trifecta for my birthday. I got Whitesnake, Def Leppard, Hysteria, and Europe: The Final Countdown, and a new boombox, all for my birthday. That was
Oh, that
epic.
is awesome. I don't know. I forget. I don't recall. It might have been Striper or something like that. It might have been
Yeah.
like when he's like,
To hell with the
um,
devil.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, but do you remember the days? Man, this is terrible. I mean, like, I think we all did this though. When Columbia would like send out that like
Oh, yeah.
mailer, and for like one set, you get like 10,
I did that.
10
But then
cassettes.
you had to sign up for, like, the one of the month, and that cost a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like,
But then
yeah.
like you like
That's how
skipped
they
out of
got
it.
you.
You stopped paying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you just
right,
take.
right.
Did you make your
DMG.
own mixtapes?
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I
yeah.
absolutely I would make mixtapes. So like here this was like my first like 5 albums I remember. So I had that album to beat leukemia. I had Stay Hungry by Twisted Sister. I had Purple Rain by Prince. I had Relax, Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Yes.
I had that. I had that. And then I think I had Animalized by Kiss. And I would just
Oh,
make like
good
a
one.
mixtape of those, and just like I never really gave them to
A
friends,
cool
but
album cover to have on vinyl, I bet.
what's that?
Animalized.
Animalized, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, like I wasn't really big into Kiss, but um, what was that song? Heaven's on Fire was on that
Yeah,
album, right? And then
yeah.
and then that song was like on MTV a lot. And then like I became a fan of Kiss after
That,
that,
like,
right?
Saint and Sinner, is that on that? Those '80s Kiss albums sort of blend together, but I like that.
Yeah.
I kinda like the no makeup stuff a bit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I you know what one of my favorite Kiss albums of all time was? You remember, I think this was in the '70s when they did like the solo albums, but they
Yes.
were like Kiss albums, right? So the
Yep.
Ace Frehley one, I just
Oh,
love.
yeah.
That
New
was like,
York
oh
Groove.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
exactly, exactly. Some great songs there. And Kevin S., I'm still holding on to Columbia House Records. I may own yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think a lot of people did that. Took it, yeah, make up fake, family members and,
Yeah, yeah,
just to
yeah.
get the mail,
Oh
yeah.
man. Oh man, we used to in college we used to do that. And my friend, I had a friend named Goo, and he was the king of that, like creating names. Like I remember like I
Your
still remember.
dog or something. Yeah.
How was that?
It do the family dog. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember the aliases that
Yeah.
like it was like Don James, you know, like it was just like
I don't even know, like, yeah, how that even worked, and it was just a different time where you could get away with that kinda stuff, I guess, I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
Just get
yeah.
all these CDs for pennies, it is
I know,
amazing.
I know, I know. Um, and then the CDs were a thing, right? And then I feel like once I started like getting or building a CD collection, then it was like Napster came around, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and then it's just like, you know, who needs CDs anymore? Um, so
Yeah, some
anyway,
people are still into that physical media stuff, but, like, I
yeah.
never took great care of my CDs, so I
Mhm.
really welcomed the digital music revolution.
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, like I don't get like physically caring or taking care of CDs. I get albums, right?
Right.
Oh man, I just remember like my first 45 I got. My friend in fifth grade for my birthday gave me "Eat It" by Weird Al Yankovic.
Yes.
That was the first one. That's the first one I got. Wow.
So, then they had the what was that yellow thing called that you put in the center so it
Yeah,
would,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Put the right,
adapt on
right.
the record player? I
Yeah,
can't
and
remember
then
what
you had
that
to
thing's
switch it
called.
to like 40, 45, like from
Yeah.
33 to 45, and then it was
Aw.
78. Like who had 78s? I mean, like I don't know, I didn't.
I don't
But
know how we got it, but we had the Bengals Manic Monday on 45. I remember that for some reason. I have no idea, like, whose it was, if it was mine
yeah,
or my sister's or
yeah.
how we got that, but
I
I
remember
remember
this,
that.
and I probably shouldn't admit this because it's gonna probably come back to haunt me. But like I remember, like I was like 12 years old, and there was this girl that I liked, and we were kind of seeing each other, whatever, 12 year. I mean, like and so I bought her a 45. I bought her that George Michael song, "I Want Your Sex." Like I didn't know what that was. You know, I don't think I knew what that was yet.
Well, it's probably she probably was like, "Oh, thanks. I
No,
love this
no, no,
song."
no.
Oh,
It
she
was
took it a different way?
yeah, no.
Uh.
It was just you know, it was one of those teaching moments that that you teach yourself. So,
Yeah. Oh,
but
that's
yeah,
you're so romantic.
I know, I know.
Oh,
Anyway,
it was a good time, growing up back then. I'm glad we did.
yeah, yeah, that was good. MTV was the best,
Oh, man.
and that was a really a fun time. First single, "Do They Know It's Christmas?" That's a great song,
Yeah.
great song, Thomas. Um, yeah, that was way better than "We Are the World," right?
Or
Um,
oh, yeah, or remember Hearing Aid, the Ronnie James Dio and all those guys?
yes, I haven't thought about that in 100 years, and thank you for making me think about that. That was awesome.
We've
Uh,
aged ourselves if nothing else.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Uh, Thank you, 32 people who are still here. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Anyway, hey, look, we made it. Positive energy on Sunday for your Lions. Really rooting for them to beat San Francisco and to make it to the Super Bowl. We'll love to see
Oh,
the Lions
first
do it.
time ever, yeah, well,
Yeah,
I did not expect them to make it this far, so yeah, I hate to say, it's all gravy at this point, but I think that all the pressure's on San Francisco, right? They've been to, like, what, 4 or 4 out of 5 championship games and have only made the Super Bowl once out of that in the last few years, so
yeah, yeah,
this is like the Lions are just playing with house money, like, there's no pressure on them, no one's expecting them to win, so I think they're gonna be loose, I think maybe San Francisco's gonna be a little tight, so, I don't know. We'll see. And I think if the Lions lose, I think their offensive coordinator is going to be named the new head coach of your team.
yeah, yeah. That's the rumor, right?
Yeah,
That's the rumor. That's why they haven't really picked anybody yet because they haven't really been able to speak to him.
right.
But yeah, I mean, they need an offensive coach, I think.
He's good, and it's a good situation too. Snyder's not the owner there anymore. They have a good
Right.
ownership group. They have the
Yeah, yeah,
second pick and lots
yeah,
of cap money. So I feel like he's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can turn that team around soon. Anyway, Clayton, thanks again, man.
Yep.
Always
Thank
love doing
you.
this with you every
Yeah.
on every well Friday, but typically on Sunday nights. Chat, you guys are great. I really appreciate
Yeah.
you
Thanks.
guys,
That was fun. Thank you.
and we'll see you guys next Friday. Take care.
Good night. Go Lions.